Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk about intensity and why it is so important with what we do here at Modern Monkey CrossFit. Intensity is really where the magic of CrossFit lies. Without intensity, you won't get the same results from doing CrossFit. Well, without intensity, you're not really doing CrossFit at all. CrossFit is defined as constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. So that intensity piece is very important. Now, because of this, CrossFit has defined intensity for us because intensity can, it can be identified as a lot of different things depending on who you talk to. So they've given us a definition to follow and it really helps narrow things down. Here's the definition. So CrossFit defines intensity, I, as equal to power output, or P. And not to get too nerdy, but a quick little recap of your Physics 101 back in high school. Power, or P, equals work, W, divided by time, T. Where work, or W, equals force, F, times distance, D. Which finally leads us to power equals force times distance over time. So this is pretty cool. Now we have an equation for what it is that we're trying to get out of these workouts, or what it is that we want to work towards to get the most benefits out of the workout. Now, for most workouts, our force is defined for us, unless we're scaling, of course, and we'll talk more about that in a second. Our distance is defined for us as well. It is specific to each one of us in that my push-up is always going to be the same distance, assuming I'm meeting standards, but it's not going to necessarily be the same distance as your push-up. The one thing that we have control over, to an extent, is our time component. And coincidentally, that is the one component of that equation that's going to have the largest impact because it stands alone in the denominator. All right, so what does this mean? Well, it means that for any given workout, we choose our load from our warm-up and based on our technique. We hit our distances based on the standards that we always work towards in the gym. And we try to do it as quickly as possible. Quickly as possible being the key phrase there. And when I say quickly as possible, we want to consider the whole workout. Let's take a workout for an example. Okay, so here's a classic CrossFit benchmark. Elizabeth, 21:15.9 cleans and ring dips. So we're using this as an example to explain what I mean about as quickly as possible for the whole workout. And Elizabeth, you come out and you bang out that first set of 21 power cleans, but it absolutely exhausts you and you're already red line. Well, when you get to the ring dips, they're going to go pretty slowly and probably in very, very small sets with a lot of rest in between. And then when you get back to the cleans for the second round of 15, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be just singles and doubles, maybe some triples, and again with long rest in between. That long rest starts making the time of the overall workout very, very high. So it's important to consider your workout and plan it. You don't need a strategy per se, but you want to have some sort of an idea of a pace to attack it with. If you come out guns a-blazing and you absolutely just waste yourself in the first minute of the workout, and that only gets you through the first 21, you've still got half the workout to do and you're absolutely obliterated. So there's a good chance that's not going to be the fastest time you could have got for that workout. So it's important not to confuse intensity with just raw speed or raw power. It needs to be power that's produced over the entire workout, from the point that we say go to the point that we say time and we stop and we drop on the floor. That's the power output that we're looking for. So if you know you've got a workout that's somewhere in the 10 to 15 minute range, you want to come out with a 10 to 15 minute pace. Maybe you get to minute 7 or 8 and you're like, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I can push this a little bit harder. Then you push a little bit harder. But if you come out too hard and you get to minute 6 or 7 and you're already thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to finish this thing. This is horrible. Then that second half of the workout is going to take considerably longer, and now your intensity is dropping much, much lower. This is a large part where scaling or modifying comes into play. When we look at this workout, the first time I ever did Elizabeth, I couldn't clean 135 for anything in the world. Maybe 115 was probably like my 1 rep max. So I wasn't going to be doing anything near that weight. You've got to scale the weight down so that you can actually get the intended stimulus. If you get too caught up in like, oh, but I want to do the cool, sexy thing, I want to do the heavy thing that everyone else is doing, well, you're taking your eye off the prize, which is, again, the intensity. And that's what we need to be going after. Now, that's not to say that every time it should be done like that, but I would say 80 to 90% of the time, making intensity your main priority is going to get you the best results with CrossFit. On the flip side of that, if you come in and you don't really like being uncomfortable, so you kind of just, choose options that allow you to kind of walk through the workout with a little bit of breathing, but nothing too crazy, you're simply not going to get the same results that other people are. The intensity is where it's at. It's what you have to work on developing for yourself. It feels different for everybody, and it's very uncomfortable. That's a large reason why a lot of people choose not to do it altogether. It's very uncomfortable. I mean, we have a saying in CrossFit, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what we're talking about. You've got to put yourself in that dark place, and then you got to hang out there, because that's where growth actually happens. Now, you might look at that and say, well, is that what we're going for every day, intensity? And the answer is yes, but it does change how we go about that intensity. So let's take a pure strength day, 1 rep max back squat. Obviously, time isn't really going to be a factor. It's going to be about lifting the most amount of weight. But the intensity is found in, again, pushing yourself to that uncomfortable zone, getting to those weights that you're not 100% confident you're going to be able to stand back up with. Occasionally even going so far that you do fail a rep and you have to either get spotted or ditch the bar off your back. But we can't know our edges until we push past them every now and then. And that's what our strength days, that's what we're shooting for, is what's the heaviest weight you can move. And if that weight doesn't make you nervous just getting underneath it, then it's not the heaviest weight that you can move. It feels heavy, but it's not the heaviest thing that you can do. On gymnastics days, where we're focusing more on quality reps, the intensity is going to come in control, coordination, balance, and focus. There's a lot of stuff going on with the gymnastics movements. So that intensity is going to look and feel a lot different. We've yet to have a pure gymnastics hour here where people left not just covered head to toe in sweat, but maybe you're not breathing super hard, but you're profusely sweating. Your nervous system is fried because you've been trying to focus on things that are just slightly out of your reach for the last hour. And that's what intensity looks like on those days. But intensity is still there, and it still goes back to my original thing of, if you come in on those days and you just kind of walk through the motions, you're not going to get the same results at the end of the day. All right, and then lastly, if you're coming in 4 or 5 days a week and you're still having the energy to go, down the street to get your cardio in, you're not attacking your workouts with intensity. You may think you are, but I'm telling you, you can go deeper. You can go further with this. All right, if I do Elizabeth and I do it properly and I have it scaled and dialed in where I am busting ass for 5 minutes straight, I don't need to go walk or run on a treadmill for 30 minutes to get my cardio in. I'm gonna be good at the end of the day. Cardio comes in with those longer days when you come in and the workout is a 5K, or the workouts that take 30 minutes, or the 20 to 25 minute AMRAPs. That's your cardio, and that doesn't need to be done every day. It just needs to be done with intensity. All right, so that's it. That's my diatribe on intensity. If you've been doing CrossFit for a while and you don't feel like you're getting the results that you want to see, I would highly encourage you to look at your own intensity each workout and make sure that it's there. Make sure that you're going after the correct thing in your workouts. Don't worry about the RX. You'll get there eventually, maybe. Some things you may not. When I first started CrossFit, RX meant you were a true badass. It wasn't that everyone was doing RX and you were weird or weak if you weren't. So don't worry about the RX thing. Find the intensity. I've seen plenty of examples where someone chooses a weight that's entirely too heavy for them and try to do the workout. I've never seen an example where someone chooses a weight that's too light and instead of trying to add weight halfway through the workout, they just go faster. If you ever feel like you chose a weight that's too light in a workout, just go faster. I guarantee you at the end of that workout, you won't feel the same.